Hello there guys, welcome to one of my videos. On this video I am going to be giving you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference ahead of our game against Leicester on Sunday, and it is a 4 o'clock kickoff. I've already given you my preview for the game, and it is the final game of the Premier League season. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer during the press conference did say quite a few interesting stuff. He insists that our players have made good progress this season. Solskjaer's also given us quite a few reasons behind Manchester United's unbeaten run in the Premier League, because we are unbeaten in our last 13 Premier League games, and he did say, the change of atmosphere, the confidence, the belief. Obviously, he mentioned Bruno Fernandes has made a difference in the team since he came in from Sporting Lisbon in January, because I think Bruno Fernandes has got 9 goals for Manchester United. And don't forget, Bruno Fernandes became the first Manchester United player to win Premier League Player of the Month, back-to-back for the first time since Cristiano Ronaldo. Also, too, he said Manchester United finishing third does not mean we are ready to challenge for the title. He was also asked at the beginning of the press conference of how much this game means to Manchester United and how much it would mean for Manchester United to get into the Champions League. We only need a draw against Leicester on Sunday to get Champions League qualification, but Solskjaer is demanding that Manchester United go to Leicester and win. We've had a bit of news regarding Luke Shaw and Eric Bailly. Solskjaer said that they could return for the game on Sunday. Luke Shaw has been out with an ankle injury. I think Luke Shaw has missed our last 3 games with this ankle injury. Also, too, Eric Bailly, he's been out with a head injury. The good news is regarding Eric Bailly is that his head injury is not too severe, because he was recently discharged from hospital and he did remain in London to obviously have all the checks. I think Solskjaer's probably going to make around 2 or 3 changes in this game against Leicester from the 1-1 draw with West Ham. But Solskjaer insists no job is done yet. Obviously, he says that Manchester United will have time off when the season ends. We have got our Europa League games in August. We've got to play Lask in the second leg. Is that on the 5th of August? We are 5-0 up from the first leg. And the quarterfinals of the Europa League, I think, are played on the 10th and the 11th of August. And obviously, the Europa League draw for the quarterfinal has already been done. But I think we'll be happy, if we can finish third in the league and if we can win the Europa League, because the Europa League is the only chance of us getting some silverware on the board this season. We win the Europa League, it will be our first trophy under Solskjaer. And obviously, us winning the Europa League will get automatic qualification for the Champions League. I think the only injuries that we've got now, as far as I know, is Tuanzebe and Phil Jones. I heard that they're going to be out until August. But Solskjaer knows how much of a good team that Leicester are. They've enjoyed an exceptional season. They have been in a bad vein of form recently of Leicester, because they recently lost against Tottenham by 3-0. But let's put into the equation, Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. Don't forget they lost Harry Maguire to us last summer. They also lost Riyad Mahrez to Man City back in the summer of 2018 and lost N'Golo Kante and Danny Drinkwater to Chelsea. They've lost quite a few of their players of Leicester, but, under Brendan Rodgers, Leicester have recruited quite a few good players. And, they got Dennis Pryor, they got James Justin, they got Yuri Tillemans, and they also got Perez. The good news is, from our perspective, is that Leicester have got quite a few of their key players out. Obviously, Ben Chilwell's out with injury. I think Christian Fuchs is out with injury. Amate is out with injury. James Maddison's out with injury. Ricardo Pereira's out with injury. Marco Brighton's out with injury. And I think they have also got a player suspended of Leicester. We've actually now got a very, very good record against them, because we are unbeaten in our last 10 league games against Leicester. We've only lost once at the King Power Stadium, and that came back in 2014 when we did lose by 5 goals to 3. But I think, Brendan Rodgers has done a very, very good job with them. Like I said on my preview, Brendan Rodgers, I think, has now been at Leicester over the year. Obviously, earlier on in the season, Brendan Rodgers extended his contract with Leicester, so he's under contract with Leicester until 2025. Because I think he signed, was it a 5 or a 5.5 year deal? And Brendan Rodgers has done quite well during his managerial career. I thought before he was at Leicester, he did very, very well at Celtic. Enjoyed quite a few good years with them. I think he also did very, very well at Liverpool. Well, he had one good season with Liverpool. Also did very, very, very well at Swansea. He's managed Reading, Watford and Chelsea in the past. So he is a pretty good manager, is Brendan Rodgers. And, I think Leicester had a very, very good team. And I think Leicester, will want to make signings in the summer transfer window. They'll want to make signings. Obviously, the best season Leicester enjoyed is the 2015-16 season, when they did win the Premier League. Obviously, they won it under Claudio Ranieri's guidance. But I think another reason why we've been in really, really good form is because of Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford returning. They returned when the season resumed. Like I said, Paul Pogba earlier on in the season was out with an ankle injury. And of course, earlier on in the season, Marcus Rashford was out with a back injury. I think, by the way, Marcus Rashford's finished third in the Football Player of the Year. I'm actually not surprised at that because Rashford hasn't played for the vast majority of this season. Rashford didn't play the first part of the season. He did play the first part of the season, but, he wasn't in good form. And then I think he was out with that back injury for 5 months, was Marcus Rashford. And he hasn't been one of our best players since the resumption of the season. Marcus Rashford, I think, got around 3 goals since the resumption of the season, but we do know Marcus Rashford has been playing on that left-hand side. I think we need to resolve Paul Pogba's future, and if we can get Paul Pogba a new long-term contract at the football club, it will end the uncertainty over his future. I think Paul Pogba in the last few games, has looked a bit off the pace. He really, really has. But I think towards the start of the resumption of the season, Paul Pogba had made a fantastic impact. Fabrizio Romano recently said that Man United want to extend Paul Pogba's contract, and Mini Raiola, Pogba's agent, is waiting for the offer. And it said there were stories coming out last week saying that, Paul Pogba's close to signing a 5-year contract at Man United. And if he was to sign this contract, it would keep at the club until 2025. Obviously, at one point he was relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. There was also talks about Paul Pogba going back to Juventus. PSG and Barcelona have also been in for him in the past. But I still think he's done very, very well alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. But it's good, that they come back at the resumption of the season because, like I said, they were a big miss. Don't forget, we did go on a 19-game unbeaten run. But obviously, Chelsea had ended our 19-game unbeaten run. I think some players have been a bit off the pace recently. Like I've mentioned, Pogba's been a bit off the pace. I think in the last 2 or 3 games, Bruno Fernandes has looked a bit off the pace. But definitely, Bruno Fernandes still made a difference since he came into Man United. I think Wan-Bissaka in the last few games looked a bit off the pace. He's looked a bit fatigued as Wan-Bissaka. I think Lindelof and Harry Maguire also need to improve because they've been making a lot of mistakes recently. Solsjaker, is facing a dilemma regarding David De Gea. I think he's going to start David De Gea in this game against Leicester. There's a lot of United fans saying that David De Gea should be dropped and we should start Sergio Romero because David De Gea has been heavily criticised because it reflects on his calamitous mistakes. He's been poor for the last couple of years as De Gea, and I think David De Gea has had 7 good years out of the 9 years he's been at Manchester United. Solskjaer did recently say that his position is under threat, and he said he needs to raise his game. He did say prior to the West Ham game, did De Gea, that he was considering dropping David De Gea. But Solskjaer was talking about David De Gea the other week, and he said that David De Gea has been the best goalkeeper in the world for the last 9 or 10 years or so. But, he has won everything domestically at Manchester United, and he's won individual awards reflecting on his good run of performances over the years. There is a possibility, a chance that Dean Henderson could become our number one goalkeeper for next season. Solskjaer as well, during the press conference, was asked about, what Gary Neville's come out and said recently, because Gary Neville says Man United need around 3 or 4 signings, to become title contenders. He's not really focusing on, that at the moment. His main focus is this game against Leicester. Get the win against Leicester, then we'll get qualification for the Champions League. I think if we win, we don't actually get third. If we draw, I think we finish fourth, and I don't think then it matters what Chelsea do against Wolves. But Champions League football is very important, for our players, attracting players, and the financial structure. It really, really is in all of that. But like I said, you saw my video that I did this morning. Solskjaer is targeting 5 players to overhaul the Manchester United squad. And Solskjaer's already identified the areas in the squad where he does want to strengthen up. Solskjaer said, he wants to recommend the striker in. He also wants to recommend the right winger in. He wants to recommend the centre defensive midfielder in. And he also wants to recommend a centre-half in, despite the fact that we've got 7 centre-halves in the team. I think he's also looking to recommend a left-back in. So he has confirmed his transfer priorities. Solskjaer did say at the start of his managerial tenure that he wanted to make around 9 signings at Manchester United. And so far, Solskjaer has made 4 permanent signings at the football club. And obviously, he got 1 player on loan, and that was Odin Ighalo. And Solskjaer, of course, has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in to Manchester United. But it's going to be interesting to see how Solskjaer approaches the summer transfer window. The summer transfer window is going to be Solskjaer's 4th transfer window as Manchester United manager. We know the summer transfer window is opening on the 27th of July, which is just under 3 days away now. There is a lot of uncertainty regarding the summer transfer window because of the financial impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. I think it depends on Champions League qualification. I think if we get qualification for the Champions League, then a decision will be made on what our transfer budget's going to be. One thing Solskjaer did say is that he will not tolerate any rotten apples in the squad. But I think our pre-season plans and our transfer strategy are all up in the air because of the uncertainty of how the current season will finish. We do know next season that it will be starting in September. We do know that. But like I said, the European games are in August. Solskjaer's going to have bigger expectations to exceed next season at the football club. Because even if we were to lose to Leicester, and even if we weren't to win the Europa League, Solskjaer will still be Manchester United manager next season, because it is a transition period, and it has been a transition period for a while. But our expectations next season will be to challenge for the Premier League title, because this has been now the 7th season. We've failed to mount any kind of title challenge up, and we haven't won the Premier League since 2013. So last time we won it was in Alex Ferguson's last season. And we've got to spend money to compete with the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool. Chelsea have done very, very good business so far. I think they've signed 3 players and they spent around £180 million on them. They got Werner from Leipzig, they got Hakim Ziyech in February, and I think they recently got Kai Havertz. But I'm not sure if it's been officially announced as yet. So Chelsea could be in there with a shout for next season. They could be in there. But like I said earlier on in the season, Solskjaer's job was under threat. Because earlier on in the season, we'd enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season ever. And I think at that point, Solskjaer was 1 or 2 games away from getting the sack, because, we had a lot of bad results earlier on in the season. We had the 2-1 home loss to Palace. We had the 2-0 away loss to West Ham. We had the draw with Southampton. We had the 1-0 away loss to Newcastle. We had the 2-0 home defeat to Burnley back in January. Solskjaer was saying, we actually should have won that game. But yeah, we've really, really improved. We really, really have. But, there's still things that Manchester United do need to improve on. I think maybe some of Solskjaer's decision-making needs to improve a little bit. In some games this season, he's tactically got it right. but in some games he's been very tactically naive and his team selections have been wrong, you know, and his team selections have been wrong. I think we need to keep the ball better. We need to be quicker on the flanks. Maybe defensively we need to improve as well. So yeah, there's still things that need to improve at Manchester United. There really, really is. Like I said regarding Mason Greenwood, he's done very, very well for us. You know, since he's been getting more starts, he's done well. Greenwood was out recently though, wasn't he, with an ankle injury. This is why, you know, he wasn't performing to his best. But Mason Greenwood has now got 17 goals in all competitions this season for Man United. And that game against West Ham was his 50th appearance for the football club. And I think he'll start against Leicester definitely, because he's my preference ahead of Daniel James. I think there's a possibility chance that we're going to loan Daniel James out for next season, because Daniel James is just not getting in the team now, is he? Anthony Martial, I've also been very, very impressed with him. Like I said, Martial's had 2 good years out of the 5 years he's been at Manchester United. You know, he's done well this season under Solsjaker, and he did well in his debut season under the Louis van Gaal era. I think Martial's got 22 goals in all competitions this season for the football club. So yeah, so there's still a lot of players, you know, that have really, really impressed me. That have really, really impressed me. But, you know, Solskjaer has been at Manchester United now over a year and a half. And he has been permanent Manchester United manager for a good 15 or 16 months. But this run we're on now is our best vein of form since Solskjaer was the interim manager. Because Solskjaer, when he came in as the interim manager, you know, he won his first 8 games. I think like won 10 out of 13. Won 10 out of his first 13 games in the Premier League. And we won 14 out of 19 in all competitions. And reflects on that, that was enough to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job permanently. And, you know, when we give him the job permanently, Solskjaer signed a 3-year contract at the football club. I think as it stands now, Solskjaer's just got under 2 years left on his current contract at the football club. I don't know if Solskjaer's a foreseeable future for Man United. Time will tell. We'll have to see what happens next season. And it depends on, you know, how we recruit, like I've mentioned before. But I'm hopeful that we can get our 21st title under the Solskjaer era. You know, we've won 20 titles at the moment and 13 of them are Premier League. So we are still the most successful team in Premier League history. Like I said, you know, more or less everybody's been given their chances at Manchester United, because when Solskjaer got appointed in as Manchester United manager, he said everybody would get their chances to express themselves. And more or less, you know, they have been given their chances. You know, the young players have been given their chances this season. Our record against the top 6 sides this season has been very, very good. We've taken 18 points against the top 6 sides this season. You know, I've been very, very delighted with that. Like I said, we're facing a dilemma regarding the contracts, because we have got around 8 players' contracts that are due to expire next year. Got to make a decision on those 8 players, but a lot of players' contracts have been extended since Solskjaer came in. But there's players that have been finding game time very, very difficult at the football club. You know, Lingard's been finding game time hard. Pereira's been finding game time hard. You know, Diego Dalot's been finding game time hard. I don't think he's good enough to represent Man United. I think Tahith Chon's found game time hard. James Garner, you know, has found game time very, very difficult and that. So yeah, but we're going to get rid of players in the summer transfer window anyway. I think we're going to get rid of at least 6 players in the summer transfer window. So if we can get rid of players, that's going to obviously, you know, that's obviously, we're going to generate money for that, and it will help us with our rebuilding process. I've only criticised Solskjaer when he has deserved to be criticised. But let's put into the equation, like I've said before, Solskjaer's inheriting players either from the Mourinho era, the Van Gaal era, and the Moyes era, and there's still a few players either from the Ferguson era, but the vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's. You know, but managers do need time. You know, Jurgen Klopp didn't settle in straight away at Liverpool. You know, Ferguson didn't settle in straight away when we got him in from Aberdeen. You know, Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United. Ferguson did enjoy 26 years at the club, and he enjoyed 22 years of success and won a total of 38 major honours under Alex Ferguson. And like I've said before, I don't think no one will ever replicate Ferguson's legacy at Man United, and no one will last as long as Ferguson did, but I think, we can get back, to being competitive. Since Ferguson retired, we have been playing catch up. We've made mistakes in the last 7 years, and that's one of the main explanations why we've been so inconsistent. I think a lot of the players that we've brought in over the years haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. We've definitely overpaid for players in recent years. We've also been criticised with how poor our recruitment's been for the last 7 years. But I think our recruitment policy's really, really improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's been problems at the club for several years, with certain players, with the club's board, with the club's ownership, the Glazers. Also been a lot of problems with Ed Woodward. There was a lot of problems with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer earlier on in the season. So let's just put that into the equation. But reflecting how long Solskjaer's now been with Man United, he's gained that managerial experience, because Man United is the third club in his managerial career. And like I said, he didn't do good at Cardiff when he was there. Solskjaer, he began his managerial career with Cardiff, and he only enjoyed a very, very short tenure with Cardiff. He got sacked from Cardiff is because he ended up getting Cardiff relegated, but only managed around 29 games for Cardiff. But he did well at Molde because he won a few Norwegian titles with Molde, did Solskjaer, didn't he? And I think since January he has done very, very well with us. But I want his managerial tenure to work out at the football club. And I give you the main explanations why Solskjaer didn't get sacked earlier on in the season. Didn't I? Because at the end of the day, Solskjaer's a club legend and he was a great player for the football club for 11 years and he flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that. But during the time he's been here, he has learned quite a few things. A lot this season, Solskjaer's gone with a 4-2-3-1. At the first, I said, we don't look very expansive with that formation, but since the resumption of the season, my perception's changed. I think we've looked quite well with that 4-2-3-1 formation. Don't forget, Solskjaer went with the same team for 5 league games in a row, and that was the first time we'd done that since 1993, which is 27 years ago. I think Solskjaer now knows his best 11, but he's been making quite a bit of rotation recently, and he made a lot of rotation earlier on in the season, but that was reflecting on the injuries that Man United had. Fetch on the injuries, that Man United had and that. So he has learned quite a few things. But that's everything to update you today on this video. On the next video, going to give you my starting 11 prediction for the game. Then I'm going to give you the news regarding the director of football. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.